Welcome everybody to La Dolce Vita, a travel trip to Italy in April 5 through 15 of 2022. Okay, so as you can see on the screen here, it says dream as if you live your dream life. You have the freedom and joy. You feel fulfilled and content. So the Italians call this the sweet life, la dolce vita. And we're traveling to Italy to learn how traveling, and especially here, may, even if it's a dream of yours or not, can help you live the sweet life all the time. And so first I'm going to show you where we're going, and then I'll explain to you why. So this is the area that we're going. Over here you can see here's Florence, here's Milan, and Rome is down here, and over here is Nice and Marseille. Okay, and so you can see we're going to this area here, which is called the Ligurian Coast, or Fiori di Liguria. I've got to practice my Italian before we go, right? But this is the area where my husband's family is from. And I'm going to show you some pictures and tell you what we learned when we lived there for 6 months. And we've traveled when our son was 4 and he's now 24. And we continually return back to this area here. And one of the reasons why I want to take people here, and I encourage people to travel afterwards to go to some of the other sites, but I am leading this trip as a transformational trip so that you can discover the sweet life within you and how to bring that home into the life that you currently live right now. And part of it is traveling and how to travel. So you can see Nice is right here, and this is the airport that I recommend if you're flying directly to the site. And it's you fly into Nice, and it's less than an hour into the area that we're going to. So along this coast, we'll pass San Remo, which is actually the equivalent of Monte Carlo for Italians. It's where their casino is and so forth. We will be doing a stop there. Then Imperia, which is the main town that my husband's family lives in. And right next to it is Diano Marina. And the reason I chose this is it's a little bit smaller, and we have a hotel that's right on the sea. And so that will be a wonderful location. And we are able to go to all of these different places from that location. So why did we choose this area? Well, this is my husband right here. And he went up to a village of his grandfather, and there was these old gentlemen that were out playing bocce ball. And he said, yes, my grandfather was whatever his name is. He could tell what was his, it was karate, but what was his first name? Don't remember. Okay, so anyway, and they say, "Oh, we know him," and they go into their cellar and they pull out this beautiful dusty bottle of wine, and they just all share together. And so it's like no matter where, Rudolfo Karate. And so no matter where we went, we felt like we lived there, belonged there. And just the Italians are such lovely, beautiful people anyway. And this is our part of our family here. And this is Davide, which Yvonne and David met on the Italian trip. And this is his mother, Christina. And this is her mother, Silvana. And Silvana and Christina are Jerry's cousins. And then this is their extended family. This is Christina, and this is her sister, Pieta. This is her husband, Giacomo. This is Christina's husband. You know, it just goes on. And this is Davide's girlfriend. And this is what we sat here in this place for hours, just being together. And the kids, it happened to be a farm restaurant, and the kids were all out playing, and it was about being together and getting to know each other. This is Giacomo in the home of Pieta and Giacomo, and he has a pizza oven down there, and he, you know, we would go there for food and wine. And this is one of our favorite memories. So Jerry's grandmother was born in a town called Villaviani, and we will be visiting, probably driving through Villaviani just to stop in and see this old rustic village. It is not on the tourist side at all. And that's the main reason I've chosen this area. This is not a tourist series. We lived there for 6 months and we heard one American accent the whole time we were living there. Now this was a dear friend over here of Jerry's grandmother, and is actually with her when she died. This is his and his wife's home here. This is Jerry's father and his mother who've both passed, and his cousins Orlando and Yossi. Last we heard, Yossi was still alive, but Orlando's passed. But just to sit, and you can see once again, we're sitting around the table. And this is just one of the really lovely parts of Italy, is just when you join with other people and sit around the table. This is Diano Goleri, and this is up above, up in the hillside. This is the house of Cesare and Christina. And if you ever come to my house, you'll see on the wall that I have a painting of this very scene that I did there. And this is Silvana and Pieta's daughter, and they are in the field of Christina's house. They raise olives, and so they are gathering the olives, and they send them off to a factory to have them pressed and turned into olives. And this is the real life. This is the life of living in Italy. This is Christina and Pieta. They're sisters. And this is, look at that food, you know, always cooking for us. This is Pieta and Silvana again. And this is another little faction of the family. This is Ermida. She's just not too recently passed. She was like the matriarch. And this is her son Franco, and her grandson Roberto. And Roberto is the one that works for the tourist industry, and this is his mama. So always loving sitting around the table. Once again, it's, you know, yes, it's about the food. And when we got ready to go on this particular trip, they all came to the train station just to wave goodbye to us. And so it's just really lovely to connect with the actual people of Italy that live there. And we'll make sure that you have interactions with the people that are there. So on our journey, this is the hotel that we'll be staying at. And in information I've sent out and will send out, you can look this up. It's Hotel Bellevue on the Mediterranean. And it's right on the sea. This is their pool, and the hotel's right here. This is generally closed until May because it's just a little cold to sit out there, but it's still lovely to be there. And we'll be able to use this as meeting time and so forth. This is the standard room with a balcony out to the sea. And this is what it looks like when it's in for two people that don't share the same bed. And this terrace, so there are some upgrades. So when we get a little closer to time, I'll talk to you guys about if anybody wants to upgrade. This is actually a single room, but it doesn't have a view of the sea. But we won't spend a lot of time in the rooms anyway. This is the terrace there, and this is where we will be having our breakfast and or inside, depending on the weather. So it's just a beautiful area here. And this is the two pools. One of them is a salt water pool, and I think they have another pool there as well. And then you can see, this is their own private walkway right out. You can see somebody getting ready to swim here. So this is a really great place to swim. And then this is the promenade. Sorry, it's a little blurry, but I couldn't find a picture of the promenade that was a little clearer. And so this is right out from the hotel, and then you walk out along the hotel to the promenade. The evenings are lovely. We'll probably go to Imperia one of the nights because that's my favorite promenade in the evenings. There's activities. When we were there with Aaron, we would stop at the little carnivals that were there. We would go in and have late dinners. And it's just part of the culture of being in Italy. And then this is downtown Diano Marina. So it's not very packed. It's more like a nice little quaint Italian town. This is a favorite restaurant here. And just, you know, the things happening there in Italy. This is an area, this or something similar to where we will be having an evening dinner and possibly our final night's dinner. I'm still working with my cousins there to oops, forgot to turn off my phone, to have a really special evening dinner together. Out here, you can see this little area here. This looks out over the sea, and there's a beautiful view here of the Mediterranean Sea. It's up near Christina and Cesare's home, and Silvana and Johnny live next to each other. This again is that little town, Cervo, and why that's so, it's internationally famous for having concerts and international music festival there. But it's a tiny, quaint little town, and it's where our son Aaron went to preschool when we lived there. And we actually lived in the town that's between Diano Marina and Cervo, which is called San Bartolomeo. And so that's where our little apartment was when we lived there. And he went to school, and Cindy came and stayed with us during that. And then this is an example of a simple painting that we'll have the opportunity to do. And you can see it's not anything, you know, it's special, but it's not anything difficult. And as Yvonne can talk to you about a little bit later, about having a lot of guidance, and if you're not an experienced painter, and then if you're like Harriet, you just get to go to town with it, because Harriet's quite a good painter there. This is another town that we're going to called Bogamonero, and it's just a street where we can wander, we can set up to paint, we can you know, contemplate, just find beautiful little places for lunch. This is actually, we will be going to Nice, back into France, and we'll be going to Nice and Monaco. And I'm arranging, and a lot of it will be dependent on how, if people want to do this, I will be arranging cooking classes for us to have a morning or an afternoon of cooking classes. And this is the marketplace, so we can even go to the marketplace, get our food to prepare, and then go work with a chef in Nice to cook a special meal, and of course eat it. Now, one of the things that's really true, and why everything's not set in concrete yet, is because I craft the trip based on things that will be happening. I'm looking at what festivals are going on there and if we'll be able to do that. I know where the marketplaces are and that they're open, and the trip has coordinated that in the current itinerary I have. Our cousins have gotten that, but I can work on, you know, fitting in certain interests if you have any that you want to do. For example, when we traveled to Ireland, and David and Yvonne were on that trip, that when we went to Ireland, when we were going to Ireland, one of the travelers said, I heard that there's this caves called the Marble Caves. And so I added that to the itinerary, got the tickets arranged for us to have a tour. And you actually rode a boat through these caves, through part of it. And so, you know, this is not your ordinary trip that we're taking. I just want you to know that. And this is Nice also. This is the Nice is a really fun town to shop in and wander the streets. And so if we go there for cooking or we just go there to wander, it's just a really nice city. And this is the Monaco. So in Monte Carlo, you can go to the top of the road and then wander down this beautiful garden. And oops, and I guess I forgot the slide. And then we can walk by the casinos. It's very, we will not be able to go in the casinos because you have a very strict dress code, which I won't adhere to. And it's very difficult. I think you have to have some kind of gold card or something to get in there, but we will walk the grounds and see how beautiful it is and experience that. But my actual favorite part of going to Monte Carlo is actually doing this walk from the very top down to the bottom of the hill down there. And we'll have transportation, so we'll be dropped off at the top and we'll be picked up at the bottom. That's the way to go, right? And this is another blurry picture, but I just love this town. It's called Pivo de Teco, and it's just an old town that is wonderful and fun to walk around in. And I haven't been here, but now there's this well-known winery here that we can go and check out the wines. There's other things that I'm working on. There's a whole new wine industry that's opened up, and there's several wineries and even an old castle that we might be able to visit. So that's, like I said, that's still in the works, but it's definitely will be a part of what we do. And then picnics. My dream of this has always been to be having an outdoor picnic where we get to hang out and have beautiful food and maybe spend the whole day and have a beautiful view over the sea or whatever. And we can spend time either riding or wandering or painting. And so these are some of the highlights of the trip. I do have a tentative agenda, but it will change probably before we get there. I do want to show a little bit about the doing art and painting. This was in Ireland again, and just we were sitting on, there was a ancient stone structure, and just some of us sat there while other people wandered and headed out. And this is actually in Scotland, and this was a castle that Cindy and I were here for the photo, another Cindy, and we were there painting. That's the painting that I did from that. And then this is, and here you can see Wyvon right up there. And this was a painting we did in Mulligalore, something like that. Anyway, it's a town by the sea, and it had this beautiful bay out. And what was kind of fun about this is I was helping everybody, telling them how I would paint this. And I have a very different painting style than a lot of people. And they were kind of painting, and there was this couple that were laying on the grass in a blanket over here, and they were kind of watching us, and they're like, what? This isn't going to turn out to be anything. And then they saw the final part, and they go, oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. And this was the painting that I did there at that area. So you can also see it's very simple. We're not rendering, we're not making it look exactly like what is there, but it's one of my favorite ways to be in the environment and to experience it. This is here in one of our wineries here, and another little time where I've brought people together around the table. To me, this is what it's all about. I've had several people on various trips with me say that they went not knowing people, and they came back, making very dear friends. And just to highlight this, beautiful area that we're going to travel to, and we'd spend our time on. Let's it do that? It jumps back on it. So there we go. And then here's the promenade part of it in Pedia. And then this is our group that traveled to Ireland, and you can see David and Yvonne, and one of our photographer on the trip, that's Will right here, has just passed this week. And so, you know, several of us are very heartbroken that he left us so soon. But he set the camera up and took this picture, jumped in the picture, right? And so this is coming together as travelers, as friends, as looking how to incorporate the sweet life and take it back into your own life. Oops, well, we'll leave it there, and then I'll stop share. And David and Yvonne, do you guys want to say anything about traveling with me? How you feel things are handled and taken care of, you know, to give people a sense of comfort?
Sure. We had such a good time when we went to Ireland. It was fantastic. And I think what I really liked about it is that it was organized, but it wasn't overly organized. If we wanted to veer off the path, we could, or if we just weren't able to go somewhere or do something, it wasn't a problem or anything. Everything was very flexible. And we had such a variety of things that we did. It was really interesting. We just kind of did just a whole bunch of stuff, and then getting to stay in the smaller inns and things like that were really nice because we got to talk to and get to know the innkeepers. And then before we left, one of the places we stayed at with this lovely couple around the place, we sang them a couple of songs because a lot of us that were there were from choir, and they seemed to really enjoy it, and we did. It was really fun to be able to do that for them, and they were very accommodating. I just can't say enough about the Irish people. They were all very
sweethearts. You're gonna love the Italians too.
Yes, I'm sure.
One of the things I was going to say is one of the other reasons I chose this area to go to is it's actually where the Italians go to vacation, because they know it's the most beautiful part of the country. Yes, David, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, well, it's funny. We had never traveled outside the continental United States before, especially to the Europe direction, and so not knowing exactly what to expect, other than the fact that we knew the people are going with us, as part of our choir group and friends, and that the itinerary initially I thought seemed like it had a lot of stuff in it, but the reality is that there was a lot of flexibility in what we could or couldn't do. And my friend Will and I were both avid photographers, and so we were able to do what we wanted to do with the group. And then the evenings we were off, gallivanting around the Irish countryside, finding places to photograph and just experiencing the people and so forth. And I expect that'll be the same when we go to Italy. The accommodations, were good, pretty much at every place we went to, and the food was amazing. It was not knowing how the Irish people eat differently than what we do here. It was interesting, but I think that the best part of the entire trip was the connections that we made, not only with the people that we were traveling with, but also with the people that we met. I found myself talking to a lot of the locals because they knew more about the United States than what I think I know. And it's really fascinating to get somebody else's perspective about what they think of our country, and at that time, our president. And they were as curious about us as we were about them, and so we always had great conversations. And for me, that's the best part about traveling, is meeting new people and drawing connections and sharing experiences and so forth. And we had a great time.
And
We
they're
got to
coming
find
back
out.
for more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we got to really find out a lot of the history from the people there. They're really into it, and they like to share it, and learning about the things like the troubles and things that happen, and how the Irish people there feel about the British, and that whole thing. It was just really fascinating. Not I knew superficially about a lot of some of those things, but I never really got down into it in depth. And so it was really I really enjoyed listening to the history, and right from the people that live there, people whose parents were in the troubles, grandparents that were in the troubles. I mean, this is all really fresh
Well,
for
Lee
them.
was there during the Troubles. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes. He lived through it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's very fresh. So it is one of the philosophies that I have. I call it traveling close to the ground. And that means via the people and the culture, and not necessarily the sites. That's the sites to me are secondary, and it's really fun to go to the Leaning Tower of Pisa and make your picture where you're holding up the Leaning Tower and so forth. But to me, I've taken teens traveling to foreign countries, and now adults, and to me, it's really about getting to know the people and the culture itself, and that's part of the tour. This time we will be staying in one hotel and going out for the day, but we will have, I always choose, we're not going to isolate ourselves from other people. We will be interacting, and some of the cousins and things will be coming along to be helpful with us. So I have asked, and it looks like she's just about on here. I've asked our friend Joanne Hawk, who traveled both to Ireland and to Scotland. And she has an internet connection that takes her a while to get on. She's almost on. I see her name up there, but she's going to try. So she's been to both Ireland and Scotland with me, and going to talk a little bit about the trip itself as soon as she comes on. So there are certain things, until she comes on, I'll mention to you. So this will be all written out for you. You will get a document that shows everything that we're going to plan on doing, and it will be, if something comes up, it will be the equivalent of doing something like that. But here, I can remove you guys from Spotlight. There you go. What I provide is three dinners. One of them is our first dinner, one is our last, and then there'll be that special dinner that we have, that outside dinner. And then this trip I'll be providing a picnic somewhere that we'll be having some time to hang out. You also have I don't provide lunch except for that picnic, because most people eat so much at breakfast or whatever that they don't eat till dinner anyway. And then we have 2 free days, and I will provide you with information on. I see. Yes.
Sorry, I thought I was on mute.
Oh. Okay. So we have 2 free days. I will provide you with opportunities even ahead of time, like to book spa treatments or things like that. You'll be able to go shopping. I'll help you be able to, see things that maybe you would like to see on your days off, or you'll get to hang out by the sea. It's up to you. Okay, so let me spotlight my friend Joanne here. And David and Yvonne just shared a little bit about traveling to Ireland together, and I mentioned to them that you've been to both Ireland and Scotland. And go ahead, share what it was like for you.
I don't know what David and Yvonne shared, but I was with them in Ireland, and then I was in Scotland. And actually, Christy, you and I did a trip to Iceland
With
together.
Cindy, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I could say I've traveled the world with Christy.
Yes.
I really, I can't recommend Christy enough. I've traveled, I'm pretty widely traveled. There's only one continent I haven't been on, and I've got to do that before I die, and that's Antarctica. So I've been on every continent in the world, and I've traveled a lot. And I've traveled with commercial companies, and I've traveled by myself, and I've traveled with another friend who has a group traveling company that's spiritually based, Jim Kramer, and I traveled with him on quite a number of trips. But Chrissy it's really different. And it's different because Christy is number one, she's really a very inclusive person. One of the problems I had on the other trips is people would tend to kind of like become in groups, automatically, okay, it's kind of like high school, it's like, okay, there's these friends and these friends and these friends. And then when it came time for people, to go somewhere, go to lunch or go to dinner or go see something when they had like extra time, people would kind of get their friends and go off. And then, you're kind of left there going, I feel all by myself here. But just to make sure that, everybody got included. And it really was a good thing in that we all got to know each other better and we got to become much closer. That's one of the perks of traveling with Christy is you actually get much closer to the people that you are traveling with. There were a lot of people that I had known before, like when I traveled with David and Yvonne, I'd known them for years and years and years. So we all kind of knew each other, but there were other people on the trips who were first timers, who Christy was the only one that they knew. But we just sort of all kind of became all inclusive and became friends and just had a jolly good time. The other thing is that Christy's really easygoing. I didn't know it until just a couple of weeks ago, but on our trip to Scotland, one of the ferries, they canceled it. We were on this island. We were on the island of Mull, and we ended up in not a real town. There was a grocery store that had quite an array of canned foods. There was a tourist information office that had some like cool little things to buy and 4 chairs. And there was a thrift store, and it was kind of like raining outside. And we were just told, hey, there's, something's going on, and we'll be leaving in an hour and a half. We'll be here for an hour and a half. And so we all kind of like banded together and like switched the chairs so everybody could have a chance to sit down. And we had like a jolly good time, but there was no tension on Christy's part. It's like some people get like all wound up about stuff and herding when you're a tour leader, it's like herding cats, because everybody kind of wants to do this and do this. And she just didn't get riled about stuff. And we did some really, really cool things. I'm sure Dave and Yvonne talked about like really, really cool things we got to do. And as things come up, the schedule kind of gets changed because there was one day we had this guy who she kind of hires on local people to come and travel with us for a day and show us certain places and talk about stuff. And there was this one guy who was a farmer guy. You guys remember him?
Leo.
And he came on and he was talking about, all this stuff. And he said to Christy, he said, are these people interested? Because they could tell we were kind of like spiritual travelers. He said, do you think these guys may be interested, in this place? And we go, yeah. So he took us there, and there's this amazing oak grove. We kind of walked in a little bit, and there was this huge grandmother oak, and there were these other oaks, and there was like these 3 kind of old stone basins in front of them. And it was such a magical place. And that wasn't anything Christy knew about or we knew about, but we just went there. And she gets really kind of interesting people to come and come on board and travel with us for like a day and show us the stuff that they are kind of expert about. I don't know.